Hello everyone, welcome to another tutorial. This time we're gonna configure Joomla on the Debian server. And my previous videos I was doing the same thing on Nginx for WordPress, and this time we are gonna be configuring Joomla. And again I'm gonna use Nginx because I've already dabbled in this subject a little bit, so it's faster and easier. I could also do it with Apache, but since I already done it before with Nginx, I'm gonna do the same here and show you how to do the installation quite fast. Okay, so let's start first with installing Nginx. Okay. Unfortunately, my internet access is not in the best shape, I guess. Maybe it's gonna speed up a little bit. Reminds me of the times when everything was slow, when the internet was just starting to get around. Okay, now let's start Nginx. Now we're gonna enable Nginx, and at the end we're gonna of course check the status. So everything is active and running. Next thing we're gonna do, using wget, I'm gonna install apt. Well, actually, I'm gonna install using apt. I'm gonna install transport HTTPS, LSB release, CA certificates, and wget. Because all of those things are gonna be required. Okay, next thing I'm gonna do is, of course, we need to add a trusted GPG key. So here I'm using wget because I just downloaded, and we're gonna install the GPG key, of course, in apt trusted.gpgd php gpg, and we're gonna pull the GPG key from this repository. Okay, next thing, using sudo, we're gonna do echo, and now we are gonna add this particular HTTPS link to, of course, our sources in .list.d. So we'll be able to download all the required things. Gonna now do sudo apt update. And now I'm gonna install PHP 8.1 FPN, because that's gonna be also required, and of course PHP 8.1 CLI. because if I didn't specify the version 8.1, it would probably just download the 7.4 version, which might end up with a specific warning after installation of Joomla that the 7.4 PHP is old and it's out of support or something like that. I would need to probably then change it to a higher version either way, because I didn't actually check on the internet what's the support time of 7.4 PHP version until when it's actually supported. But I think I've had this kind of warning before with 7.4. It was giving me a warning that it will soon expire, so I would need to go to a higher version either way, so we're just starting with the higher version, so we won't have that kind of troubles. Okay, next thing we're gonna install quite a lot of things actually regarding PHP 8.1. It's of course MySQL, FPM again, curl, GD, Intel, MP3, SOAP, XML, RPC, zip, which is going to be needed to unzip some stuff, and of course MariaDB server and MariaDB client. So, installation. First, of course, downloading all the stuff. Like I said, those speeds remind me of old times when there was no internet access and you just some people really wanted to use the internet or just play online with other people's. You went to different places that offered you that kind of services, and you could just pay for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of sitting by the computer on the internet and playing in some kind of old games online, Heroes of Might and Magic 3 or something like that. I think it was called Internet Cafes, if I remember correctly. But at least it was fun. And we had some kind of interaction with other people actually. Of course, if somebody got pissed during this game or a tournament, that wouldn't be so great at the moment, sitting next to the person, but well, I guess that was the charm of those places. Okay, let's start, of course, MariaDB. Let's enable MariaDB. And at the end, we're gonna check the status of the service. Right, next thing that we're gonna start is PHP 8.1 FPM. We're gonna enable the service and we're gonna check the status of the service. It's active, running, everything's fine. Now we need to go to actually php.ini, which is located in etc php 8.1 fpm. We're gonna need to change a couple of things here, so let's search for output buffering. So one thing that we need to change This needs to be set to off. Next thing we're gonna look for, it's gonna be upload temp dir. We're gonna change that as well, just to usual temp. Next thing that you need to set, of course, is the max upload file size. Max upload here is 2 megs only. I'm gonna change it to 20. Of course, you can give here like 64 or something, even more. It depends what you want to set up. Okay. Right, next thing we need to look for is post max size. I'm gonna change this as well. Change that to 20. Now we're gonna save everything. Okay, so after that we just need to restart the service. Of course, the FPM PHP service. So there we go. And now we can proceed with installation, secure installation of our database. So of course the password, and now we can proceed. Okay, let's open MySQL. There we go. Let's create a database, and it's gonna be called Joomla DB. You can call yours as you wish. We're not gonna create a user that is gonna be called Joomla, and the user is gonna be identified by a password called password. So just plain and simple. Since this is only a test, now I'm gonna grant all the privileges for Joomla DB to the Joomla user, of course. Now let's just flush the privileges and exit. Okay, since all of that is done, now we got our wget installed, so we can pull down our Joomla installation. Actually, the link looks like this. The only thing you need to take care of is the version, of course. So you need to go to the Joomla website and check what kind of version is right now available. At the moment when I'm making this video, the newest version of Joomla is 4.24.4. So if you're watching this video and you have a different kind of version, just remember that specifying it here, you need to change here to the specific version, and also here for the download to commence. And we are downloading the installation. After the installation is completed, we're gonna make a directory called Joomla in var www.html, and we're gonna unzip everything there. You can of course choose a different path if you would like to. Definitely my internet speed is very funky. Okay, so 64%. Probably if I would be using, instead of apt, I would be using Nala. It would be faster because Nala pulls down from like 3 different sources, so it would be much faster than using apt, even with my bullshit speed. Well, I don't have it installed right now here on this test server, so I'm just going to stick with apt this time. Okay, we got it. So next thing, like I said, we're gonna create a directory where we're gonna unzip all the stuff. And since the unzip was installed previously, you can just do apt install unzip. Gonna check. I guess it wasn't, but it was. I guess it got lost somewhere. Now we can unzip our zip file that was downloaded into this directory. So the content of the zip file is being extracted. Now it's all done. Now we have to, of course, change ownership of this path for user www data to be set for as an owner, and we need to do chmod, of course, to set certain privileges for this catalog. Next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna create in etc nginx conf.d Joomla config. So the main configuration for Joomla, and here is how it should actually look. So listen on port 80, root, you have of course specified your main path to your Joomla folder, indexes, error logs for Joomla, access logs for Joomla, client nodes body, and I think we can actually delete this. It's not going to be needed. Okay, so we have include snippets. That's going to be also useful because we're going to add some snippets here. We're going to save everything. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to actually remove from sites enabled the default site, and the same we're going to do, remove the default site from sites available. Now we can just check our nginx configuration. The test was successful, and now at the end we're gonna just first reload. Now we're gonna restart. And let's check. And there we go, our installation is underway, so Let's pick the language, the name. I'm just gonna put here admin. Just remember to put a different username. Don't use the ones that are actually known by hackers and used, because it's gonna be really easy to hack someone's account if somebody uses your admin, administrator, or whatever. Just change it to something else. Of course, the password. Here you can specify the email address, which is also utilized by Joomla to send different kind of notifications. So I'm just gonna put here some kind of bogus account, but you can of course specify your specific account that you want to set up the informations for and all the notifications to come by. Of course, here we are specifying the things that we created previously. So my username for my database was called Joomla and the password was password. And the name of my database was of course JoomlaDB. Everything else is being left on default here. Let's install. And there we go, we can open our administrator account, log in here. And our Joomla installation has been completed. Of course, we can go to the dashboard. We can change some things, publish. I'm gonna publish this as well. Logged in users, you can leave this notification if you want. I'm gonna just hide some stuff here. So a little bit of cleaning, I guess. Latest actions. Hide this as well. Okay, so of course the first thing we need to do here is take care of our SSL certificate, just for the validation as a security. If you have purchased domain name, you won't have any problem because you will probably have a SSL certificate on the way. So the only thing you need to do is just put this certificate here in a specific place, and you should have the HTTPS set up in no time. I don't have any domains bought, any domain names, so for the purpose of this video I'm just going to create a self-signed certificate. That is also a little bit of security, maybe not like the full certificate that you get, but everything depends if you have Joomla installed on a server that is actually gonna be out in the wide public, or is it gonna be hidden behind your firewalls and stuff, so it's not gonna be able to be seen by the public. So if it's hidden, then you can also use the self-signed certificate, and I think that should be just enough, because later on I'm going to show you all the snippets and security things that you can actually configure from the server side that will harden your Joomla installation and your Joomla website. Okay, so let's get to it. Enough of this babbling. I'm gonna open the server here. Let's create the self-signed certificate. So we're gonna use, of course, OpenSSL. The number of days, so for 1 year we are creating the certificate for 1 year, and we're gonna create it in SSL private. We're gonna create the key, and we're gonna create the self-signed certificate in SSL certs. Okay, so this is our IP address of the server. Need to remember about this to specify it here. I'm just leaving everything as on default. And now we can just check if we have everything in place. So I'm gonna do install locate. I guess I have it. So I'm gonna update the database. I'm gonna do locate. And as you can see, we have Nginx self-signed certificate here. So it's fine. So the certificate is prepared. Next thing we need to do is to create a snippet. So that's going to be our first snippet for the configuration file, and it's going to be called the self-signed configuration snippet. So if you watched my previous video on WordPress, you saw me doing the same thing. I also created some snippets. So this is going to be in Etsy Nginx snippets. It's called self-signed configuration. I'm gonna create it. I'm gonna put here our two keys. So SSL certificate and the two things that we created, not the two keys. We're gonna put the certificate and the key. So it's SSL certificate and SSL certificate key. Of course with the paths. We're gonna save it. And after this we're gonna create another snippet. This is gonna be called SSL parameters. So and it's also in Etsy Nginx snippets and it's called SSL params. And here I'm gonna add the following things: SSL protocols. I'm not gonna talk about those options because I've talked about it in my previous video on WordPress. If you're interested in depth what those options are, you can of course visit my video and check it out. I'm gonna put a hash here because I didn't create in the Delphi Harmon pen. So for now I'm just gonna hash it out. If you would like to create this, I'm gonna show you how in a moment because it takes a little bit time. Next we're gonna add SSL ciphers. So here are all the ciphers I'm gonna use, quite a lot of them. Okay, next thing. Okay, now we're gonna do SSL session time, of course. I'm gonna set it to 10 minutes. Okay, let's do session cache, of course. SSL tickets. Stapling. I read somewhere that stapling should be on default disabled, but in Nginx at least I'm just putting all of it in all of the configuration here because I will know what I've actually configured. Buffer size, of course, and at the end we're going to do the resolver. Of course, if you have different DNSs, because this is only those from the Google that I'm using at the moment. If you have your own, remember to change them here. Okay, so what is a Delphi Herman pen? You can create this strong pen that is going to be used later on if you specify it in your configuration file, like I did. And how to create it? Well, I need to look for my note. You can actually create it using this sudo open SSL Delphi Herman parameters out, and here creating the pen with this 4096 instead of 2000. Okay, so I'm not gonna do it right now because it takes a lot of time, but if you wish you can also create it and include it in the snippet. Okay, so we created those two snippets, and now I'm gonna create the third snippet that is gonna be called headers. All of them, of course, in Etsy Nginx snippets. And in this snippet, I'm gonna add some headers. And just remember, when you're adding headers, you need to check everything on your website, because if you're just adding things without checking, you won't be able to verify later on what's going on if you stumble upon some problems and errors. For example, this header, content security policy, this one is very tricky. I'm just gonna hash it out for a moment. I'm gonna show you later on, because when this header is on, it fucks up the main site. I'm just putting here the headers that I know that are working in my configuration, and I won't have any problems, and they should also work in yours if you have a clean config going. I'm going to change this to deny. If you want to know about those headers, what they are specifically, you can also visit my WordPress part 1 video. I was talking about it in depth. Don't want to again talk about it in this video, since it works. No point of me repeating myself again. Okay, so I guess everything is set. The last one is permissions policy. And I'm gonna save it. Okay, now what we need to actually do, we need to go to our main configuration file, so Joomla config. We'll need to open this. We'll need to make some changes, so let's change the port to 443 and SSL, of course, because we added the key and the certificate for SSL self-signing. And now we will need to include some snippets here. So we're gonna just put here include snippets. And here we're gonna just self-signed configuration. A little bit misspelling. Okay, and that's finished. Now we're gonna include another snippet. Of course, the SSL forms, if I remember it correctly. Just gonna check the names. Forms, sorry. And the last one, of course, headers. Okay. Now let's save everything, restart. Restart Nginx. I guess probably misspelled something. Yeah, include. Save. Misspelled something here. Well, of course I made a rookie mistake, because I forgot about the... Yeah. I forgot about those. Okay. Now let's just make a restart. And let's check the status, and everything is active and running. Okay, fine. So I guess now would be best to just clear all the cookies. I'm gonna actually close down Firefox, open it again, so everything is nice and clean. And let's check HTTPS. First the site. Okay, so it's all validated. And now we can go to the administrator. And now we can log in. Okay, so there we go. The connection is secured. We got our self-signed certificate. We got our SSL parameters set. And now I'm going to show you what happens to your website if you actually don't pay too much attention to your headers. So let's go to our header parameters in our config, and I'm gonna just save this. and restart Nginx. Well, let's restart the site. Maybe I'm just gonna try to clean it up as well. Let's check now. Well, seems fine, okay. Because I remember I had some kind of issue with this header content security policy. Wasn't actually working well. I had some problems with scripts and of course with Java. So my site had some problems with actually displaying things the right way. So you just gotta be careful with stuff that you are actually giving to your adding to your configuration, especially the headers. So I suggest always to, if something goes wrong, try to go to your snippets and just hash everything one after another and check what actually is causing the problem. That was my solution. Okay, so I guess I will conclude this video. There is a little bit of securing to do, a little bit more. You can create your own snippets in Nginx. Let's say you can call them like internal security or whatever, and you can add quite a lot of different things. I found some useful things, and I've shown some useful stuff that you can actually add to the configuration also in my WordPress video, so I think I will not show it again here because it's pointless, because like I said, it's basically the same. It's Nginx, so I'm not gonna be a copycat and I'm not gonna copy myself every time. That's why I strongly suggest that you see the first part of my WordPress video just to check some more things that you could add to your configuration. And I think in part 2 there was also quite a lot of useful things that you can configure on the server side of Nginx and some snippets as well. If it goes to using different plugins in Joomla and securing your Joomla with plugins, I will do a separate video about it, about some firewalls, about some additional stuff that you can configure, and of course backing up your website in the proper way. And for now, I will say thank you for your time. Of course, like, subscribe. If you would like to be a Patreon, go for it. I'm not making my content very frequently. From time to time, I'm trying to drop something on my channel, because it also takes time to research all this stuff. I don't want to just rush into it and just throw like 100 videos every week, just like small videos, like few minute videos. I rather make a huge content, take some time with it, and show you some proper stuff. Okay, so I'll see you in the next one.